what this gig is and why it's happening. I basically made this album called Subtract, and as I was making it, I was like, I'm never going to play these songs in a stadium. They're just not designed to be played in a stadium, and I knew I wanted to tour the album. So this is basically the Subtract show. This is why we're doing it. It's a beautiful venue, Shrine. So the format of the show is I play Subtract in full, which is, I'm not going to lie, it's going to be a depressing hour for you. And then after that we have what's called Happy Hour, which will have fun in. And then the last bit of the show are the kind of wild cards, and we'll see what's happening. I'll sort of explain more about the show as I go along, but I think that this is going to be the last one of these that we do. So I'm really happy to share this with you guys on the show. And yeah, this is an album that I made over a month period, and I had some sort of real life situations flying at me in this month period, and I was continually writing all of my thoughts and feelings down, and this album kind of happened by accident. This is the next song. This is so far to go, and I can't feel my toes, when the rain soaks through the heels and slips to the soul. Yeah, the blades are 2 feet tall, we're wading green and moving forward to where God only knows. Feel the wind's harsh refrain, like the clouds grip my face, saying it's alright to run from the more of this pain. Oh, and when it's time to go, with one last breath that's in my lungs, I scream it's over love, I scream it's over love. Come and kiss me soft, water. So one of the things that was obviously like the inspiration behind The record was on February 20th last year. My best friend Jamal passed away like suddenly, and I got a call from his mum in the morning about 2 hours after he passed away saying, Jamal's died, can you come to the house? And I remember getting to the house and just kind of being in disbelief and not thinking that it was real, and being around all this like really, really intense grief and crying and screaming, but in my head being like, this didn't happen. And for a good period of time, I would be going through waves of grief and then also waves of complete disbelief and denial. And it wasn't until I got to his funeral that it actually hit home. And the reason was, like, I'd only ever been to cremations in my family, and there's sort of like a big separation with cremations. You know, you're there and you do the service, and then, by the way, I told you this would be a heavy hour, so just... a cremation, there's a sort of separation with it. You're sort of there with the coffin and you're reading the service, and then the coffin gets taken away and you don't see what happens, and then you're given an urn with ashes, and that's the process. And I'd only ever been to funerals like that. But being at Jamal's funeral was very different. We were sort of at this gravesite in Luton with a huge mound of dirt next to this hole that his coffin was lowered into, and I just remember everyone singing Amazing Grace, and then suddenly his uncle hands me a shovel, and then I'm putting dirt on my friend's grave, and that was the point where you sort of hits home that he was never coming back. This song I wrote in the month period between him passing away and putting him in the ground.
I've got a few drinks, they might out, but it's been a while, my dear. Dinner with the cards like that, I'm still holding back the tears. Well, my friends are somewhere else. I pictured this one a little bit different when it hit February. I step in the bar, it hit me so hard. How can it be this heavy? Every song reminds me you're gone, and I feel the lump form in my throat, 'cause I'm here alone, just dancing with my eyes closed.
like stop like it did for the Queen. Remember when the Queen died and everything stopped, all news paused, everything, it was just all focused. And I kind of feel like that's the most respectful way in the world to like mourn someone is how the Queen was mourned. And obviously that's not realistic for every single person that passes away, but I did want the world to stop. And in my world, it kind of did stop, you know, because I was at Jamal's mum's house every day. And you know, Jamal comes from St Vincent and the Grenadines, and in Caribbean culture they have a thing called a night, and it's basically 9 days and nights of grieving, and you're at the family house and everyone's eating food, crying, drinking, and sharing stories. And then at the end, there's a kind of party, which is a celebration of life. So the world kind of did stop in that time. I was there for 9 days and 9 nights. And then obviously life resumes after that, and everyone sort of gets back to their regular life and jobs because you have to. And I felt a bit weird about doing that. I felt like, you know, this sort of period of time, like when anyone passes away, there's like a period of time where you're allowed to grieve, and the world goes, okay, yeah, you can be sad for this time. And then it reaches a certain point where people go, okay, cool, now we have to restart again. And I just felt weird about that. I was like, what if I want to feel sad forever? What if I want to actually live with this? And I feel like the most respectful way to live with grief is to always have a portal in you of the person that you love that you can open whenever you want to open it, and not kind of shut it away and pretend that it didn't happen. And so, yeah, it kind of made me think a lot about like how society works when grief happens, and life does go on. It has to go on. People have to go and do their jobs. They have to go on and do work and get back and hang out with their mates and stuff like that. But I just didn't feel ready after 9 days. It's been, you know, 18 months now, and I still don't feel okay with it. But I think that's fine. I think it's fine. I think grief is this thing that you live with, and it's a book on a bookshelf of all the other books, but it's still very fucking important. But this is on the road. That's why I got that. sadness. And the juxtaposition was, I had an 18-month-old daughter who, you know, kids can sense when things are going on, I think, but also, like, kids are very, like, if their mood is something, then your mood follows that. You know, if your kid's in a great mood, then you are in a great mood. If they're in a bad mood. But, so I'll give you a bit of context, right? So we, in my household, and I think this is because I'm in studio every single day. I do Monday to Friday in studio, and the weekends I do gigs. And I think over the years, because I've had music on for the entire day, and then I do music for, you know, the entire evenings at the weekends, having music on in the house has just sort of like drifted away, and my house is like eerily quiet. I know that sounds weird as a musician to have an eerily quiet house, but anyway, I didn't realise that this had happened. And my wife said to me when we had our first child, she was like, "It's a bit weird not having music on in the house. Gotta say." And the reason is, obviously, I grew up with music in my household, and I've ended up being a musician. So I was like, right, I'm going to make a real conscious effort to really make sure that there's a lot of music played in the house. And the way that I do it is, we wake up in the morning and music starts the morning, and we do this thing called vinyl breakfast with our daughter. So the morning will go like this. I will be woken up by either a you know a cheerful cry, or I need to get up cry. So I get up, I take my daughter downstairs, I make her a bowl of, we call it porridge, you call it oatmeal. Who's to say who's right? I mean, it is called the English language. So probably us. I've done that joke in a few cities on this tour, and some places it goes down very well. In other places it doesn't. And in the places it goes down well, like tonight, you did find that funny. I really enjoy watching American football, but whenever I watch it, I'm like, there's one bloke that kicks a ball and that's it. There's not much being used at all. Yeah, anyway. So anyway, we get up in the morning, we walk downstairs and we make a bowl of oatmeal. And I have like this extensive vinyl collection. And what my daughter would do is she would run up to the vinyls and go until she lands on one, and she'd take it out, and that would be the music that we start the day off with. And then the rest of the day would be whatever, we'll just put music on in the background. But that record could be anything. It could be, one morning it was like Nora Jones' Come Away With Me. Another morning it was like Bring Me the Horizon, Sept. And then it would be like Bruce Springsteen's Born in the USA. There was one time I got quite excited. Slipknot had done their reissue of Iowa 20th anniversary special edition vinyl. And I had this, and I was like, is she too young for this? And I put it on, and the first song on Iowa is called People Equal Shit. And as it started playing, I was like, maybe in a few years, like this probably isn't the time. But anyway, this particular morning was, you know, it was in this time that Jamal had passed away, and Cherry was going through something quite serious as well, which I'll get into later on in the gig. But I literally spent the night at Jamal's mum's house. I came home blind drunk at 2 o'clock in the morning. I cried myself to sleep, and then I'd woken up at 6 with my daughter and gone downstairs, and she picked out Dusty Springfield live in Memphis. And there was just this moment where we're eating our oatmeal, and just the world sort of melted away. All the shit that was happening in February last year just melted away, and it was just me and my daughter listening to Dusty Springfield, eating breakfast. And it's amazing how children can turn really, really dark moments into just this like innocent, joyous thing. And that inspired me to write this song. This song is called Dusty, and it's about having breakfast.
As you go, now my eyes are open. The day is